All right. Thank you. First off, congratulations to both of you for your nominations and your willingness to serve. So my questions are for you, Sheriff. First off, thank you law enforcement is very important. You know, as we talked about yesterday.
Yes.
One thing we talked about yesterday, could you talk a little bit about the importance of enforcing the law and complying with the law? And we talked a little bit about something I've been surprised at, which I think you probably will be a little bit, is at the federal level, and I don't know if it happens much at the county level, but people just decide what laws they're going to enforce and what laws they're not. And can you give me your thoughts on that?
Yes, sir. For me, I think it's important to respect the rule of law. It's been obviously my life's work from all my adult service in law enforcement. So it's something that to me is very fundamental. I know it's an important American ideal as well, just as our immigration system is as well. And I think it's one of America's great success stories, or immigration. But I think that it's also a paradox sometimes because we also need to make sure we're maintaining the rule of law.
So you probably talked a lot about the border today. You know, when I think about the border, I think about you saw the little 14-year-old Nicaraguan boy that was left in the desert and, starting, the Utah, he's asking for help, just left for, guess to die. And then you saw the two little Ecuadorian girls, 3 and 5 years old, they just dropped, over the wall. You're you got kids and grandkids. Your heart goes out to these people. And so in your position as running ICE, is there anything that you will be able to do to try to make sure those things don't happen? Because it's disgusting for these little kids. You just can't. Your heart goes out to them.
Yes, thank you, Senator. You're right. I think that it's important, in my opinion, to always lead in a humane and compassionate way. That's something that, for me, would be very important. That we look at the systems that ICE operates, whether it be enforcement or whatever interactions we may have, to operate, again, within the rule of law, but also make sure that we're being respectful, that there is an asylum system to the extent where ICE can help deal with some of the backlogs as well, I think would be very important. To the extent where I could help bring some of my perspective of working with local diverse communities. My Houston region is one of the most diverse in the country. Making sure that we are implementing some semblance of looking at circumstances and being open to, like you said, the hardships that sometimes come with these situations as well.
So there's all these stories that ICE employees are not allowed to enforce the law. Do you believe that's true, or and what do you think about that?
I do not believe it's true. I would want to understand, if confirmed, how they're interpreting guidance. I think there's a lot of latitude at the field office, which I think is smart. I think that many of those decisions should be under the area of responsibility of local officials that better understand the threat landscape in the community, that have those partnerships. So I would want to understand, again, in my reviewing of the guidance that's been offered, I think that there's ample latitude for us to be effective and get the job done. It doesn't preclude anyone from being, obviously, a focus of enforcement if it meets the priority areas.
In all the different jobs you've had, have you ever had a situation where somebody you work for told you not to enforce the law?
In my experience, I haven't.
Yeah. How would you handle that? If somebody said, "Look, we know what the law is, but we really don't like that, so we want you in this new job not to enforce it," how would you handle that?
I understand that it's concerning. I know that in the past there's been priorities that have been given to ICE in the past and in previous ICE administrations as well. And my understanding is at the time they weren't universally popular. I think it's important to understand within the confines of our work, limited resources, making sure that we're being effective in our enforcement. And so I would want to also understand the quality of arrest, make sure, though, that we're listening to the ICE workforce. It's my understanding that that's what Secretary Mayorkas is doing now, is engaging with the ICE workforce and other sister agencies to make sure that he's getting a full understanding of concerns and other things. And I hope that that informs his thoughts on this matter.
So your background is law enforcement. How important is it for local law enforcement to work with ICE? And what do you believe you're going to be able to create a relationship where law enforcement will want to work with ICE going forward?
Absolutely, yes, sir. I do see many possibilities. I think we could move forward in a positive direction. I've talked to many counterparts across the nation. I think it's important to understand some of the successes and also where we could do better. And if confirmed, I would want to see how we could be a better partner to fulfill the mission and making sure that I believe in working in coordination. I don't think one agency can work alone. We have to depend on others. And I think that it's important that there always be a good coordination, especially with local law enforcement for deconflicting purposes and other reasons as well to maintain our public safety.
So assuming you get confirmed and you're there for 2 years, what would you define success?
For me, if confirmed, I would welcome the opportunity and consider it an opportunity of lifetime to be able to work with the men and women of ICE. I would like to see where we've become a strategic agency, a preeminent law enforcement agency that works effectively, that is prioritized, because I think that it's a reality of managing. I would want to make sure that we're looking at more expansive data sets. I've heard some data that is often given, but I would like to see to make sure that we're leading an effective agency that is an enforcement agency that both respects the rule of law, that protects my North Star is always public safety. Did we keep our community safe when it comes to these issues? But two, did we create an agency that also engages with the community? Are we engaging with the community better? I think that the work of ICE can be hard to understand, and it's important for us to be engaging with the community. Those would be successes for me.
Thanks, Sheriff.